the voices, you can access it, and we have project on internet research. This is a one-year program, 32 credit course, worth of courses are incorporated. There are 5 courses related to theory, 1 practical, 1 project. Practical about digital journalism and project is about internet research. Open learning system adopted by the Indira, the National Open University, follows certain characteristics. It's a flexible and convenient, can be customized as per your needs, and the same quality adopted in a postgraduate diploma in digital media. Catch up with the online and digital revolution. Learn more about this platform. Register for this diploma. Connect with us. We will learn together.
Welcome to all. In any teaching learning process, assessment is an integral part as well as an ongoing process. In this session, I would like to discuss about managing assessment. This topic is related to the course MES 006 Managing Teaching Learning. And in this session, the main objectives are to explain the importance of assessment, then to identify the process of assessment, to classify the different types of assessment. Let us see what is assessment means. So here, when you look at the terms, you can see that the assessment, the word, is derived from the Latin verb assidia, meaning to sit with. And this implies that it is something that we do with and for students and not to students. Though we have explained about the concept of assessment, there is generally a tendency to use other terms instead of assessment, like measurement or evaluation. But it is not the similar word as assessment is. Now it is necessary to differentiate between the terms measurement, assessment and evaluation. What do we mean by measurement? When we put some numerical value to the abilities of students, that is known as measurement. We know that from the term itself, it denotes that we can measure something. Coming to assessment, what is assessment? We have seen that assessment is to measure the abilities, or we can collect the information about the quality or quality of change in a student. What is happening in the students? Next term, that is evaluation, which denotes that judging the merit, value or desirability of a measured performance. So here these three terms are different, and when we look at an example of, suppose Renu scored 8 marks out of 10, it denotes the measurement, whereas we said that Renu stands 3rd position in the class, it denotes the evaluation. The value that we are taking, we are judging the ability of that particular student. So these are the differences between assessment, measurement and evaluation. Coming to the features of evaluation, when we look at it, we can see that evaluation should be comprehensive in nature. What do we mean by comprehensiveness? Comprehensiveness denotes that it should not measure only one domain. And in educational aspect, the domains can be divided into 3: cognitive domain, affective domain and psychomotor domain. So this comprehensiveness denotes that the holistic evaluation of a learner. When we look at NEP, we can see that it emphasizes the holistic development of learner. Hence, the holistic evaluation is also important. Coming to the second feature, we can see that evaluation is a continuous process. It's not coming at the end of the instruction. It is a continuous process. As it is a continuous process, we give emphasis for the formative evaluation as well as the summative evaluation. Coming to the next feature, it denotes that assessment has quantitative as well as qualitative aspects. As stated, we know that the marks only is not taken into consideration while assessing a learner. What is important is that the core scholastic ability of the learner is also coming as part of the cognitive scholastic aspects of the learner. We know that both these areas need cognitive development, or cognitive thinking is important in these two aspects. Next feature, we can see that there is an interrelatedness between the objectives, learning experiences and evaluation. Then when we look at these terms, that objectives, learning experiences and evaluation, how they are interrelated, we will discuss later. Then another feature of evaluation, that it is a cooperative process. So the cooperative effort of the teacher, the student and other members who are in that process of teaching learning. Next, it employs various devices and sources of secure valid evidence of achievement of objectives. So various devices, what it is used is, when we want to assess a learner's performance, generally we may conduct test, which is one tool. Otherwise, in order to assess the core scholastic areas, we may use rubrics, then the reflective journals. So all these things are taken into aspects of evaluating the performance of a learner. So there are quantitative aspects as well as qualitative aspects. Coming to the next case, just I am stating that a student who is so silent in the class that seems everything around her, that seemed to study everything around her. Her teacher noticed that she is shy, reluctant to participate in group activities. Still, the teacher has never found any problem with her. Only when the teacher gives a test on the language development for each of her students does she realize that the student Anita has a problem. Here comes the question, what is the problem with Anita? So here from the case study we can see that the problem with Anita is that she cannot communicate effectively in the group because she has a language problem. Next question comes, why did the teacher fail in understanding Anita in the beginning? That's focus on the point of the teacher to understand the learner thoroughly, the learner's background, the learner's talents, the learner's abilities. So here the two questions are very relevant. What is the problem? The problem is the language difficulty. Because of the language difficulty, Anita couldn't cooperate with other learners in a group if there is some group activities. So here the importance of understanding the learner is becoming very important. As stated earlier, one of the features of assessment is objectives, learning experiences and evaluation. When we look at the screen, we can see that there is a pyramidal shape where it denotes that objectives is related with the learning experiences and learning experiences is related with evaluation. Hence, we can state that objectives are related with evaluation also. How it could be? When we take one example after teaching a topic on rocks, that the children have been taken to museum. There, they are able to classify the different types of rocks. This is the objective. The learning experiences, what is given is taking to a museum and showing the different specimens. Here, the learner is able to classify the different types of rocks into sedimentary, metamorphic and igneous rocks. So here we can see that the ability of the learner is showing or displaying through classification of rocks. So we can see that generally the objectives that we frame will remain in some way. The learning experiences may somewhat related, but the assessment question may be deviating from the objectives. So for this type of objective, classifying the different types of rocks, what type of questions can be given is that what are the uses of the different types of rocks, or what are the classifications of different types of rocks. Here we can see that there is a symmetrical or a linking between the objectives, the learning experiences and evaluation. Coming to the functions of assessment, for what purpose we use assessment, we can see that the generally assessment of abilities. In order to assess the abilities of the learners, we use assessment, and to diagnose the problems of the learners. Through assessment, we can diagnose the problems and then we can predict the performance of the learner. A learner who shows more scientific interest, we can predict that the learner can become famous in the scientific field. Then guidance, what type of guidance we have to give to the learner. Then the grading, what type of grading we can give. Then the selection. That selection denotes that during the entrance test, when we conduct entrance test, we are conducting the aptitude test of the learners. Based on the scores, we are selecting the learner for a particular branch of study. Here we can use assessment for selection purpose also. Then comes the characteristics of a good test. What are the characteristics? When we look at the characteristics, the three types of characteristics are important, like validity, reliability and usability. Let us see what do we mean by reliability first. A test is reliable if it gives consistent results of measurement on its administration at different occasions. Suppose a test may be conducted in one occasion and after some time it may be conducted in another occasion, and whether the results are consistent, we can say that there is reliability of the test. How can we measure the reliability of a test? 3 ways. First, test retest method, parallel form method, split half method. Let us see what do we mean by test retest method. The term itself denotes that the test is administering twice. That is, after a gap of some time, the same test is going to administer to the same population. The second one, and after administering this type of test twice, the scores can be taken and Pearson coefficient correlation is adopted to find how far the tests are correlated. The scores are correlated. Next one, the parallel form method. In the parallel form method, we can see that at the same time, 2 type of test which is having the same difficulty level, the same content, the same weightage we are conducting, and it is administered to the groups, 2 groups, and then the result is taken and then finding how far the results, the Pearson coefficient correlation, how far the test scores are correlated. Then comes the split half method. What do we mean by split half? The test is divided into 2 by taking into account of the odd item numbers of the test in one set and the even number items in the second test. And after conducting the test, the scores are taken together, then the coefficient is calculated. This gives the coefficient of the half of the test. And for finding the coefficient of the full test, the Spearman-Brown formula is conducted to find the coefficient correlation of the full test. So in these 3 ways, we can assess or analyze or calculate the reliability of a test. What do we mean by validity, which is the second characteristics? A test is said to be valid if it measures what it is supposed to measure. Or in the words of Cronbach, he defines validity as the extent to which a test measures what it purports to measure. So that is coming important. And in the case of the validity, what types of validity we are taking into account? We will take the content validity, the construct validity, the phase validity, and the predictive validity. So these are the 4 types of validity. What do we mean by the phase validity? The phase validity denotes whether the test appears to measure what it claims to measure. Next one, construct validity. It denotes the extent to which a test captures a specific theoretical construct or trait and it overlaps with some of the other aspects of validity. Coming to content validity, it denotes the extent to which the items on a test are fairly representative of the entire domain the test seeks to measure. Coming to the last validity, that is predictive validity, it denotes the degree to which a test accurately predicts a criterion that will occur in the future. So these are the different types of validity. Coming to the usability of the test, we have seen that the characteristics of a good test, the reliability, validity, and usability. What do we mean by this usability? We can see that it refers to practicability. What do we mean by practicability? That it should be easy to administer. Then the usability, it is defined in terms of certain criteria. The first one, that it is easy to construct. If the test is very difficult to construct, we cannot say that the particular type of test is usable. So it should be easy to construct, easy in administering. Suppose the test conductors or administrators doesn't understand the instructions properly, how do they conduct the test? So the test should be easy to administer. And the next feature what we can see is easy in scoring, and the next one easy in interpreting, and economic in terms of money and time. What do we mean by easy in scoring? The scoring, there should be a guideline for how to score the test, how much marks or how much division of marks should be given for each item. So that all things should contain in the test. Next one, that is easy in interpreting. Just conducting the test never purpose. It should not be the purpose of a test conductor. We will try to analyze the test scores. That time, the test should be easy to interpret. And another thing regarding the usability, it should be economic in terms of money and time. What do we mean by this money? That the expensive should be less so that it should be conducted easily, and the time limit for every test, we know that we give duration. So it's an important aspect. Within a particular duration, the test should be conducted. And the duration, it is determined according to the level of the learners. So we have seen what do we mean by managing assessment. And when we think of the assessment, there are the three terms that sometimes may be overlapping, but it is not the same, that measurement, assessment and evaluation. And regarding the measurement, we have seen we are assigning the numeric value. Then in assessment, the quality of change that happens in the learners, we are going to assess. And then evaluation, the value or the judgment of the worth of a particular activity or an individual. That way we are taking into account. The next thing, we have seen the features of the evaluation. Then we have discussed about the characteristics of a good test. And while discussing the characteristics, we have classified it as reliability, validity and usability. And regarding the validity, there are three types of validity: test to retest, split half method and parallel form method. And when we look at the test to retest method, we can see that for the intelligence and personality test, we can use this test to retest. And then for the parallel form method, that is the teacher-made test, the achievement test, we may use it as the parallel form method. And the split half method also, we want to assess how the same test, the items, when we divided it into the even number item or the odd number item, and then we assess the scoring. So this managing assessment is an important task of every teacher in a classroom. And what is the role of the head of the institution is that the head of the teacher should make all the equipments or the resources for the fair and effective conduct of a test. So this managing assessment becomes an important part in educational, especially in the teaching learning process. And when we think of this managing assessment, that assessment should be conducted not only in terms of teaching learning process, it should be viewed in a larger context. What is the larger context? That developing the 21st century skills. For that purpose, even the classroom assessment is not enough. We have to go beyond outside the classroom and try to assess the co-scholastic areas of the learners. So the scholastic as well as the co-scholastic areas of the learners are important when we think of the holistic development of the learner. Hope that you have understood how to manage assessment and what are the different types or the characteristics of evaluation and the different ways how we can find the reliability, the validity and what are the uses of a good test. Thank you.